And for today's May Day, the smearing of Jill Stein continues. This is from Raw Story. Jill Stein refuses to condemn Russian election interference in babbling CNN interview. This is their headline. Appearing on CNN's New Day, former Green Party candidate Jill Stein refused to condemn Russian meddling in the 2016 election while telling Chris Cuomo that she is refusing to turn over some campaign communications to Senate investigators because she is protecting American civil liberties. Now, Lucy feels very strongly about Jill Stein. So she's here. And I get it, Lucy. Jill Stein, I mean, just look at Jill Stein. It's obvious she's a cat whisperer. Come on. So Lucy's a big fan. Lucy would have voted for her. She's made that very clear in a recent dialogue. That's available at patreon.com/Ron Placone, by the way, for a pay what you can level. But Lucy is a fan of Jill Stein. She's a little sensitive about it. Most of the animals were, actually, and Lucy explains why in her most recent dialogue. So she feels very strongly about this. As soon as I said the name Jill Stein, she jumped up, and now she's hanging out here. And she says hi to all of you. So let me get back to this article here. I have to be a little careful over how many windows I keep open, because that's when this freezes on me, and I don't want. If I freeze today, Mike Figueredo is not here to take over the show and help out. So we're screwed if it happens. All right. So according to a report, Jill's campaign, Stein's campaign, has provided some documents. They've provided thousands of documents. Okay. In this Raw Story piece is a smear piece, and DC said that's what it is. So we know we're reading a smear piece right now. So they called her interview a babbling interview. I didn't see this particular interview, but I saw her MSNBC interview. They also called that a meltdown and a babbling interview. And you know what really happened in that interview? She handed MSNBC their ass. If you don't like Jill Stein, that's fine. You don't have to. But objectively speaking, she owned that interview. She called out all the nonsense that we've been talking about on this show, and they had no rebuttal on her. They had no rebuttal. She slayed that interview, and she got smeared anyway. And whether you like Jill Stein or not, it's irrelevant. But if you watch that interview and you're paying attention to what's going on, and you don't come away with it saying, wow, she really slayed that interview, you're either in denial or you're not paying attention. I'm sorry. And Lucy agrees. Lucy's like, I watched that interview on repeat. I was meowing the whole freaking time. That's what Lucy's saying. So, and if you don't remember the MSNBC interview I'm referring to, we did a video on it over at the Jimmy Dore Show. So let's watch. Let's see. One of you guys tweeted the interview, so let's watch it ourselves. Because I have a feeling she just told the truth. I have a feeling that's what she did on CNN. I have a feeling she told the truth. And CNN's not a big fan of that. They're not a big fan of telling the truth. That's why they say things like, so wait, who tweeted this to me? Somebody said they tweeted it to me. Oh, Lucy. Edwin, you said you did. I do not see it. This is a labor union article. I have that from you, but I don't have the Jill Stein video. If anyone has it, please tweet the Jill Stein video to me, and we can watch it in real time. You know what I mean? All right. Well, until then, we're just going to move on. So let's go back to this article. If you don't fully comply, that means you're hiding something, Cuomo suggested. If you're hiding something that makes people suspicious, that maybe you had something to do with Russian interference. Let's get this fact straight, Stein replied. We complied with everything relevant to the Russia, over our communications with Russian media, government, business, although there was no communication to turn over. Likewise, anything having to do with WikiLeaks or with opposition research or Fusion GPS. What we didn't turn over was material that basically protects the civil liberties of all Americans at a time when our civil liberties are being seriously eroded. Yeah, the stuff they were asking for, they literally said any communications with a Russian person. They literally asked for that. So basically, if Jill Stein had a friend who was from Russia and they had a text message conversation, they had to tweet that. Or they had to tweet that. What the hell am I saying? They had to submit that, technically. So if I was in Jill Stein's shoes, or if one of you guys was in Jill Stein's shoes, my dad has a grad school colleague that's from Russia. She's a really sweet woman. Her name's Ludmila. If I had to email Ludmila about something, I would have to turn that over. That's absolutely ridiculous. First of all, it's Orwellian. It's racist. It's discriminatory. And it's a total overreach. And instead of just ignoring that part of the request and just giving them over everything that's relevant and just say, here you go, see you later, she was fully transparent and said, here's everything that's relevant to your cause. Some of this stuff is such a broad, vague, overreaching request that we're not going to comply to that because you're violating our civil liberties. So she's being punished and further smeared for being as transparent as one could possibly be. That's what she's doing. So, all right, Lucy, you're getting a little too excited today. She really, telling you, man, Jill Stein excites her. Or I switched her feeding schedule. One of the two. Actually, that's true. The reason Lucy's being really finicky today, guys, I switched her feeding schedule because we used to feed Lucy in the mornings, my girlfriend and I, and sometimes on the weekends when we get to sleep in, Lucy would get really excited come like 8 o'clock. And we were like, we gotta switch this up. So this weekend, we tried to switch up her food schedule. It's starting to work, but she's a little anxious. What I'm going to try to do, maybe I'll try to feed her right before the show starts, and then that'll be like late enough. I usually try to be up by 10 a.m. So anyway, so that's going on. So that's why Lucy's excited. Her feeding schedule's a little switch. She wants me to feed her, and of course she she wants to be a co-host. She's very excited about Jill Stein. So that's really what's happening with Jill Stein. Jill Stein was transparent and did what she was supposed to do. By the way, I retweeted that article with the hashtag GetYourNewsOnWithRon hashtag. So the people that oh, okay, here we go. We have the video. You guys ready to watch the video? You guys will be able to listen to it. All right, so here we go. We're not going to watch the whole thing.
Is turning over some documents, have done so already, related to her campaign's contacts with Russia, but they're holding back others. Dr. Jill Stein joins us now. Appreciate you taking the opportunity.
Great to be with you, Chris.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, Doctor. So, you know what the implication is. If you don't fully comply, that means you're hiding something. And if you're hiding something, that makes people suspicious that maybe you had something to do with the Russian interference.
So I would argue that she did fully comply. All right? I would argue that she did fully comply. She gave over everything that was relevant. And instead of just saying, here you go, now piss off, get out of my life, she said, look, some of these requests are very overreaching. We're not going to honor those requests because that violates our civil liberties. But everything related to the campaign, related to our platform, related to our cause, we have turned over. I would say she did cooperate. She cooperated more than I would have been willing to if I was in her shoes. That's why I don't run for office. But let's move on.
Well, let's get the facts straight. We complied with everything actually relevant to the question of Russian interference. We turned over all of our communications with Russian media, Russian government.
Sounds like she's having a meltdown, guys. Wow, get it together. Doesn't she sound, I mean, that's, oh, boy, she's babbling. Does that not sound babbling to you? Wow, if I've ever heard babbling before, oh boy, that was babbling, right? That was totally. By babbling, they mean accurately answering a question. Being completely 100% reasonable. All right.
Government, Russian business, although there was no communications to turn over. Likewise, anything having to do with WikiLeaks or with opposition research or Fusion GPS. We actually fulfilled all the requests. Most of them were blank. We didn't have any such communications. And what we did have with Russian government and media was really related to what time we were going to show up for an RT appearance and the logistics of our trip to the conference in Moscow with RT. So all of that was turned over. What we didn't turn over was material that basically protects the civil liberties of all Americans. So at a time when our civil liberties are really being seriously eroded, for example, the use of our private data. You know, we have a privacy protection that's part of our civil liberties, but that's been horribly violated. 87 million Americans have basically had their data taken, and there are up to 2,000 data points on every American that are being used.
Listen, I hear you about that. That's certainly a concern. We've been covering it and the potential need for regulation and what will the industry do. However, back to you. What did you not turn over in the name of civil liberties?
All right, that's a fair question. Let her answer it.
We did not turn over, and I should add, we also turned over our policy positions, which were the same as what we said publicly throughout the campaign. So there was nothing hidden there. We turned over our policy. What we did not turn over
I told you, man,
our internal discussions about policy, which were really no great shakes, because there was not much difference between the policies that the Green Party has held for a long time and the policies of the campaign. So it's not like there's some.
I'm sure if Jill Stein saw this, she'd want to do the show, Lucy.
Here or some vulnerable conversation, but rather we're standing up on a principle, and that is the principle that's part of the First Amendment, our right to basically freedom of association. And that, that needs to be protected. And
I like how he shrugged at that. She's talking about the Constitution, about her rights as an American. And he's shrugging at her like she's saying something bogus. Don't be mad just because she has a better understanding of the law than you do. Unbelievable. I mean, do you guys see how condescending this is? Do you see, and I'm not trying to say, I mean, and I do want to get Jill Stein on the show, but I mean, how do you not see how counterproductive this is? And I know you guys do see it, and I'm preaching to the choir. But whether you like Jill Stein or not, and I'm just saying this because I'm not trying to, like, kiss up to anybody. It's just, how do you not see what a waste of time this is? This is a waste of Jill Stein's time. And this is so dumb. Like this is yeah, 9 times out of 10 she does look better at the end of the interview, but then she gets smeared anyway. And they lie about what really happened there. Rambling about the Constitution or something unimportant like that. Thinking she's how condescending is it that the corporate media writes someone off as rambling when they are just operating under the guise or under the assumption that they have the rights that humans are guaranteed in this country? I mean, Jill Stein, what nerve of Jill Stein? First, she ran for president thinking she has the right to democracy and that people have the right to an anti-war choice. What nerve? And I tweeted about this, and I got the tweets that, oh, she took votes away from Hillary. Because not only is the right to democracy reserved for Hillary Clinton exclusively, but Hillary also had the right to your vote. And if you didn't give her your vote, you violated her rights. How manipulated do you have to be? How scary manipulated do you have to be to think that anybody, whether they're a Republican, Democrat, or even a progressive for that matter, no matter what they are, to think that somebody's entitled to someone else's vote, and if they don't give it to them, shame on them. They shouldn't be a citizen anymore. Shame on them. And if somebody thinks they have the First Amendment right, and they have a right to privacy, and they have a right to freedom of speech, shame on them. Shame on them. This is why we need superdelegates. It's unbelievable. I mean, that's what's going on in this video. They're shaming her for saying all right, let's watch a little bit more. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that don't consider this news, go watch something else. If you don't consider this news, this interview happened today. We're covering something that literally happened today. I don't know how this doesn't qualify for news. But if you don't think this is news and you're okay with the fact that corporate media wants to condescend to people for thinking they have rights, if you're okay with that, if you think that's okay behavior, there's plenty of cheerleaders that are probably online right now that you can go watch. There are plenty of cheerleaders. I'm not a cheerleader. I never will be. Because if I ever become one, I have you guys. You guys will tell me and I will fucking quit. That's what will happen. So if you want to go watch a cheerleader, go watch a cheerleader. Because I'm not, and that's what the Correspondents' Dinner wants. They want a cheerleader. And Peter Douche's Constitution of the United Hillary States of America, HRC's rights to your vote, is #1 on the HRC's Bill of Rights. Thank you, Balthazar. All right, so let's watch a little more than this, and then we should move on to other things because we're almost out of time. And this is the only thing we covered today. So,
and the courts have always upheld that.
Right, we'll see. There'll be some litigation here if the government really decides that they want it. We'll see how.
Oh, subtly threatening her. He just subtly threatened her. Oh, we'll see. There'll be some litigation. This is bullying. This is bullying. Sorry some of you feel like it's not news, but this is bullying. That's what this is. This is bullying. This is a corporate establishment shill bullying a progressive for no reason. Oh, wait, there's a reason. The reason is they want to continue the 24-hour distractathon that is Russiagate because it's helping their ratings and it's helping the two-party system. It's deflecting from what's really going on. Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.